I dipped a tasting spoon into the sauce and brought it to my lips. Balanced, comforting, rich. The same adjectives could probably be used to describe my fiancé and business partner, Sam Van Meter. I tasted it again. Something was keeping it from being 100% right, but I couldn't quite identify the flaw. Alas, the same thing could probably be said about my relationship with Sam. Moving to Geneva Bay, Wisconsin, and opening a restaurant was more my dream than Sam's. The resort town was only about an hour and a half north of Chicago, but it felt worlds away. I'd spent most childhood summers next to the lake's inviting blue depths, sunbathing and gobbling down Titanic-sized pistachio sundaes during our annual family vacations. Whenever I was overwhelmed by the constant din, clanging pots, and expletive-laced tirades of the Chicago restaurant kitchens where I'd worked, my mind traveled to Geneva Bay. Living here full-time was a wish come true. On those childhood trips, my family always stayed at my great-aunt Biz's quaint waterfront cottage. Small houses like hers were increasingly rare, many of them razed to make way for the lake houses of the nouveau riche, or dwarfed by the legions of imposing turn-of-the-century estates that ringed the lake. Those older mansions had been built as summer getaways for the biggest names in Chicago business: Wrigley, Schwinn, Vicks. In Geneva Bay, the names were attached to fabulous homes instead of well-known products. As a kid, I'd fantasized about living in one of the breathtaking mansions, and now that dream, too, was coming true. Sam and I were midway through remodeling a hulking Queen Anne mansion built during Prohibition by one of the many Chicago tough guys who'd minted a fortune running illegal booze from the Canadian border to the Windy City via Wisconsin. Sam knew how much Geneva Bay meant to me, and he'd been the one to offer to bankroll our move and invest in my restaurant. As a sophomore in college, Sam had created an app to allow users to access baseball stats in real time, which apparently is 1, a thing some people feel the need to do, and 2, very lucrative. He sold the majority stake in his company, Third Base Analytics, for a small fortune when he was 26, allowing him to devote the last decade to spending some of the money he'd amassed. After sprinkling a smidgen more crushed red pepper into the tomato sauce, I tasted it again. A smidgen closer to that ever-elusive goal: perfection. My fingers brushed the smooth stacks of 3-inch deep round steel pans that would hold our new restaurant's signature menu item, Chicago-style deep dish pizza. My twist was to draw on my years in top restaurants to create innovative recipes using top-notch ingredients, rather than the typical sausage, peppers, and cheese pies churned out by Chicago's old guard deep dish establishments. I checked the sauce again. Good. Very good. But stop with the sauce already. We're not going to have any left for the pizzas if you keep taste testing it, Sonia said, giving me a not-too-gentle shove toward the door that led out to the dining room. Why don't you check the setup out front? With one last wistful look at the pizza dough, I walked into the 30-seat dining space. The windows facing the lake seemed almost like gigantic landscape paintings, revealing a dazzling palette of watery blues and arboreal greens. Every time I saw this view, I had to pause for a moment to let my eyes take a deep, long drink of it. No one would guess that a few short months ago, this building had been derelict, in danger of demolition. It had fallen into disrepair years before, after the feds raided the previous tenant's business, a pizza place cum mob front called Rocco's. The eponymous Rocco Guanciale, was now serving time instead of pizza, 25 to life at a federal prison upstate for crimes that included running an illegal gambling ring, extortion, and fencing stolen goods, with the odd bit of pimping and drug dealing thrown in just for kicks. He ran his criminal operation from the small apartment over the restaurant, an apartment Sam, Butterball, our oversized butterscotch tabby cat, and I were temporarily living in while our new house was being remodeled. The restaurant was